So we're about to get started with Adrian Calton from FosterMate. He's going to be talking about ExpressionEngine and instant search.
I'm used to it. Is this working? Okay, cool. So, hello. How's everybody doing? Good night last night, yeah? Yeah? Yeah! So, thank you all for coming out to the conference, and the presentation that I am doing today is ExpressionEngine and instant search, leveraging the power of instant search to improve the user experience. Behave. There we go. My name is Adrian Calton. I'm a CMS developer with FosterMate. I've been with the company for about 2.5 years. It was actually the way that I broke into the web development scene. And it's just been a fantastic change of pace from restaurant life. If anyone's had a background in that, you can probably relate there a little bit. So yeah, my primary focus has been on ExpressionEngine and the unnamed other, primarily with a focus on back-end development. So I've always found a lot of enjoyment with code crunching, especially like dealing with the logistical problems of how to meet client requests and so on, and building out new features. I'm not front-end oriented at all. Is anyone here front-end focused? I'm going to offend you with what I've got here. It's just for presentation purposes, and I apologize humbly. I'm sorry. It's the best I can do. One of the tenets about the internet is it is all about speed. And that's really what the whole instant search platform is striving to help continuously drive forward, is just the experience of speed. And the other thing to note that's important about having good search, not just fast search is great, but also good search, is Forrester, who is an American marketing research company. They released a study they found where 43% of users that visit a website that have a search bar immediately home in on your search feature. They're coming to your site because they know what they want. They want to know if you have it, and they want the shortest possible route to get there. So search is increasingly becoming like the way to navigate the web. It's not just now about here, I'm presenting to you something. It's let me give you the fastest route to what you're actually here for. So I want to go over a little bit of the technology and terminology that I'm going to be using. First one, ExpressionEngine. Hopefully we're all familiar with that one, but that is obviously going to be the CMS platform where you store data and serve your content from. Primarily, when I'm talking about instant search platforms, I'm going to be referencing Algolia because that's the platform that I'm most familiar with. Cool perk, it's the platform that ExpressionEngine serves their documentation search from as well, so that's nice. And then Ferret is an ExpressionEngine add-on we wrote at FosterMate that allows us to interface ExpressionEngine to Algolia. And then just a couple of quick terms. Index, when I reference an index, I'm talking about the search index, which is comprised of your custom-built objects. And when I talk about a facet, you can really think about it as a filter. They're categories on a select group of attributes, basically. So instant search and user experience. This can be broken out essentially into two main perspectives. You've got the user perspective and then the developer perspective. So from the user perspective, you've got a couple of perks. You're eliminating load times. You're no longer having to type in a search, hit send, wait for the server to go ahead and process your search and then reload the page for you. Accident forgiveness is a wonderful thing. How many times have people typed something into Google and then Google says, I think you mean this. You should, and then, yeah, that is what I meant, thank you. And then also predictive search, which can help, just again, it's about expediting that experience for the users. And then from the developer perspective, you get fully customizable indices. You dictate what goes into your search index. You dictate what gets weighted and how, what information is returned from the search index, what attributes are searchable, all of that. You get analytics, so you can find out what searches are yielding the greater results for you, what is being searched, what is not being searched. And it also does have the added perk, because you're using a third-party platform now to serve your search information, you're reducing your own server load, because you're telling someone else, you handle that for me, please. And then going back to the results that you're delivering from the user, you're delivering textually relevant results, obviously based on the keywords that they're providing. You want to give them the information that they're looking for. And then you also, of course, like typo corrections, accident forgiveness, like that, so you can give them a general idea that this is probably what you're looking for, right? And then from the business relevant results, you can go ahead and promote items that have high conversion rates. These are my high action items. This is the stuff that I want to feature or promote. You can help guide your users down paths which you specifically would like to encourage them to follow. So it's all about speed. Algolia, and it offers keystroke updates. As you're searching, one of the ways you can set it up is that it updates your search results per keystroke. One of the really nice things about this is that it means that your users are going to remain far more engaged in your site, because they don't have time to browse somewhere else as well. I frequently will browse multiple tabs at the same time because I'm looking for something here, maybe they have it here, maybe they have it here, because I've got load times. I can just say, yeah, you're doing yours, I'll do this one. But with instant, updates to the results, you're constantly engaged in that site, so it keeps your attention focused. Again, server load is handed off to the platform, so you're able to serve the content more directly and quicker. Once someone gets to an endpoint that they want to find, you're not worried about quite so much having to, queue it all up, all of the fancy server stuff that I pretend to know anything about, but really just, I get lost. So essentially, the resources are devoted to your endpoints, not to the discovery. So all of the search, all of the navigation piece ends up being handed off to, in this case, Algolia, where, you get to customize how it works anyway. Their servers are handling all of that, and then all you have to do is deliver on the end game. That's all that you have to worry about. So let's talk about configuring an index. Like I said, they're highly customizable. There's a lot that you can do with them. I'm not going to go over the entirety of it, just because there is such a wealth of information for it. But I want to touch on a few key points. So obviously, searchable attributes is going to be a big one. You want to define, if someone types in something, what part of a search record is going to be actually relevantly searched. And then you can also define which searchable attributes is more important than the other. Do you want it to be by author? Do you want it to be by title? So if someone types in the word John when they're looking for books, do you want to promote authors by the name of John, or do you want to promote books that are titled something about John? And you can go ahead and float that up. Facets, again, just setting up clickable filters where you can go ahead and really start to tunnel down to what it is that your users are looking for. Typo tolerance, you can actually dictate what it's going to be. Do you want to allow people to have, oh yeah, once they've typed 6 characters, they can have 1 or 2 letters out of place. Like on a medical website, you probably want 0 typo tolerance. You want to know that what you're giving to the visitor is specifically exactly what they're looking for, so they don't, misdiagnose, they don't, all kinds of, potential problems rise from there. You can set up synonyms. So, let's say someone is browsing a clothing store and they're like, yeah, I want to look at jackets. They might also want to show them coats or parkas. So, you can go ahead and get that set up. And then duplicate indices as well. So when you set up a duplicate indice, what happens in Algolia's sense is that it clones your index and keeps them matched, but all of your customizations then become unique. So you can say, hey, yeah, this index sorts alphabetically, this index sorts by relevance, and this index sorts by most recent date. So you get to change up how the weighting is. So again, you can help on the front end customize that deliverable experience to the user. So just as a quick look, this is the Algolia interface. And you can see we've got searchable attributes, ranking and sorting, personalization, and there's just a host of things. It just goes on and on, all of which is pretty intuitive to be able to set up. And this isn't sponsored by Algolia. But there's a host of things that you can go ahead and do to be able to really drive that user experience. Implementation. So on the front end, there's a couple of ways that you can go about it. The most easy way that I've seen is you can build it straight out with JavaScript, and you can leverage the Instant Search JS library that Algolia uses. So just to give you an idea of how little work has to go into it beyond making it actually look good, which again, I don't do. I want to show you the code for it. So this is the JavaScript right here, where we initialize a client right up here at the top, then create the search object, and then it's just about dropping in a couple of widgets, and then you start the search. That's it. That's all that you need to get it off the ground. And then on the template level, that's it. You just give it a couple of containers that it can latch and bind its renderings to. That's all that you have to do. I'll show you an example of this one in just a few minutes. So the control panel, now we got to talk about getting the information from ExpressionEngine over into Algolia. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of demonstrate the approach that we took with the add-on that we wrote called Ferret. And here we go. So this is the backend configuration that we wrote out. We leveraged ExpressionEngine's built-in services very heavily on this. It was a great platform to be able to write this out in. Zoom in. Can I? Too much. So here you basically go ahead and you set up your credentials. Application ID, search only key, and the API key are all specific to Algolia. The long-term goal for this is going to be to make it so that it can actually go ahead and support multiple search engines. And then you get this, excuse me. It comes with this ability to go ahead and customize individual indices, which is really where instant search kind of thrives. It's not just, can I push all my data into one place to search, but again, it's leveraging multiple indices to be able to customize the experience for your visitors. So here we just have it set up where you can select, what fields do I want to be able to go ahead and send over based on a channel-to-channel basis, category custom fields and categories, and that's what allows you to go ahead and push all of that information across to Algolia. So it fires on an extension hook for, I believe it's the after channel entry save, and you can also go ahead and run, this build index where it'll push, that's not what I wanted, but it pushes all the information over in one go, rebuilds out the whole index. So what that looks like in the back end, when you're looking at it, is you just have these condensed objects here. Let me zoom in on that a little bit. And we've dictated exactly what goes into each record. So you have complete leverage, complete control. You could have it, be one or two fields if you wanted it to. You can have it be the entire entry. You can go ahead and say, yeah, I want to break this out. One entry, break it out into, say, 20 different records. And Algolia has a way where you can go ahead and stack them so that they're ordered and you don't have duplication issues, where you search for one thing and you get the same entry returned 20 different times. So that's basically the approach that we took for that. And so, yeah, just talking about the back end there. So yeah, we used, obviously, ExpressionEngine's extension capabilities for the automation piece. We used the module to go ahead and provide that beautiful interface, which is made ridiculously easy with shared form views and so on. Models to persist what data that we need to keep track of in the database, and then using libraries to actually go ahead and run the heavy lifting of processing all the logic to create those objects and send them on their way. So as a quick kind of demonstration, and this is where it's going to get ugly. It's a very basic site that I built out. Probably shouldn't have done this, but that's okay. You have, I've got a couple of books and a couple of movies here in 2 separate channels. Movies, books, such a coincidence. And then you have like a traditional search. Now this isn't designed to be pretty, and I'm not, like I said, it just is. But if we go ahead and we type in, say, Peter, and do a search, we get our result. Now, I'm running that locally, so it's going to be very quick, very fast. But from here, it goes back to, okay, now I get to re-navigate if I want to change, what it is that I'm looking for. This isn't quite what I'm after, so we get to go back and forward, back and forward. If we click on the Algolia search here, however, as soon as I start typing, the whole thing just immediately crunches down to what I'm probably looking for. And you'll notice that the filters over on the left-hand side there, it'll get rid of filters that are no longer relevant to the search information that you're providing. So if, we type in star, all of a sudden, a couple of the categories are gone. And then talking about using those duplicate indices, I have 3 of them, one by relevance, date, and alphabetical. So we click alphabetical, and it goes ahead and it lists the information alphabetically, which can be desirable on an initial load of the page. But obviously, once you start searching, you kind of want to float up the contextually relevant information to the top. And then, so there's considering being able to go beyond just the search box. So when people think of search, they traditionally think, okay, I've got a little box, I type what I want, and then hopefully I can find what I'm looking for, which is, very common, a perfectly good approach. But there's a lot of other ways that you can go ahead, excuse me, and leverage a platform like this. One of those being federated search, where you can go ahead and deliver an experience whereby instead of just searching one section or globally searching everything, you can go ahead and say, here, I've got this set up. It's actually running against 2 separate indices there. So if I continue to type out, there we go. So there you can see, in one index, we no longer have any results. In the other, we still have results. So the main perk of this, it's known as federated search, is if you're selling a product, you might not have the specific product that someone's looking for, but you could still point them to resources within your site. So, okay, maybe you're selling movies and books, and you also do reviews. So someone types in the name of a movie or a book that they want to buy, and you don't have it. It's not in your products list. But you do have a review, which really explains why they wouldn't want it in the first place. They're no longer, hopefully it'll engage them. They'll read the review. They might even really, really enjoy the way that you've structured that and written it out. So they sign up to a mailing list. So they still remain engaged with your site. They still convert to becoming essentially a customer. And they're not going to a competitor. They're not leaving your site saying, well, they don't have the product, so I'm going to go somewhere else. No, I'm going to read this. I don't want that product. I want something else now. Dynamic faceting. So that goes back to how they were before, as you saw. When I started typing in search, they start to filter down. They start to vanish on their own. So you can use search without a search box at all and just provide those clickable filters to allow people to filter down and tunnel down to find the core content that they really want to go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty of. So again, just driving that customer experience or that individual user experience. Understanding your audience, again, like I said, because a lot of these come with analytics suites, you can really get a good understanding of this type of content that we've been generating recently versus what we had been is either really driving our traffic higher or it's absolutely tanked conversions. So it gives you a really good insight into the performance of your site. It allows you to go ahead and change tactics, switch up what kind of content you are now generating. You can go ahead and set in those search indices this has been doing really well. We're not that's not the content we're generating right now, but we can still promote that older stuff to continue to keep people invested. And then the last one there, just completely search without the box. So there are actually sites out there where they're delivering a full instant search experience, but you don't realize that it's a search experience at all. They just have, areas of the page that you're looking at with buttons that you click on that just filter out content. Like, I know there's an art gallery site that displays, upcoming exhibitions, artists' works, and things like that. And it'll show you, I want to look at existentialism, or I want to look at realism. And it just works like a facet, just filters out all the content that people don't want to see and just provides them with a display of the information that they do want to see. So that went much quicker than I had anticipated. So like I said, though, I'm just going to throw out a shameless plug real quick. Like I said, Ferret is an add-on that we have written for ExpressionEngine for people who are interested in having like a pre-built setup method of being able to integrate ExpressionEngine into Algolia. We have a URL here to get information for when we do officially release it, which should be coming up pretty soon, right? I'm looking at you. But, yeah. So, I think we have some time. Any questions? Yes?
Do you prefer Algolia over something like Elasticsearch?
I haven't had much experience with Elasticsearch. I can't really comment on it. Most of my experience has been with Algolia. I know that our shop used Elasticsearch for a couple of clients about 2 years ago when I came on board. The add-on that we adapted and that grew into Ferret originally was written in EE2 as an Elasticsearch add-on that we were then going to expand into Algolia. And as EE upgraded to 3, 4, and 5, the add-on just kind of flipped on its head. Now it fully features and supports Algolia, and the goal is going to be to expand it out to work with something like Elasticsearch and other platforms as they become available.
We saw that on the demo that you build the individual indices there.
Yes.
But you also mentioned a challenge you save hook. So as content editors are adding information and editing their stuff, is that automatically rebuilding the indices?
So what'll happen is, as a content editor creates and saves individual entries, if it doesn't exist in the index, it'll be populated. If it does, it'll refresh those records. Okay. And you can do an end-to-end rebuild if necessary. But yeah, it's really nice that ExpressionEngine gives you that leveraging power to say, hey, yeah, every time someone does kind of anything, you get these jumping in points. So yeah, that was the one that we took. Yes?
I'm going to use a mic that is not working. Oh, it is? Okay, since I'm sitting next to it. First, congratulations on embarking on that journey of making the add-on work with Elastic. I considered that a couple times and backed away from it. Only because my experience with Elasticsearch is it's very specific to very different use cases. And every time I've used it, it's been completely different each time. So I'm really interested to see how you pulled this off. Another thought I had was something to maybe consider is when you're defining your custom fields, maybe have a hook for each field, because each time I've used it, I've noticed that post-save, I might want to actually do some post-processing before it actually gets to Elastic. So I might want to merge two fields or do some other manipulation of it specific to something that might be in Elastic but might not be in ExpressionEngine.
So we kind of took some of that into consideration. One of the things that we do allow in the add-on is here we've got mapping, where you can actually go ahead and rename what the actual property that field is going to go into. So if you've got a couple of text fields that you actually just want to go ahead and have concatenated together, you can certainly do that. Or if you've got asset fields where you want images or PDF files or whatnot, they'll just get stacked into an array of file names. But yeah, that idea of that level of customization to be able to deal with the nuances of what you want to build out is something that we're looking to do. One of the approaches is kind of that I'm toying with is either delivering our own extension hook that people could jump off at and say, hey, before the record gets persisted and pushed over, let's make the manipulations that we want to do. The way we're handling it right now is actually using integrations, which are built into the add-on. So, but thank you. Anyone else?
How much is it going to cost?
I filled the licensing server first.
I just drink coffee and crunch code. I don't do business things anymore. It's nice. It's nice. So, cool.
I have a related question to that. Algolia offers a lot of different levels. Mm-hmm. Is Ferret compatible with all of them out of the box, or do you have to have a certain level of the Algolia plan to use it?
I'm using the free community plan. You can build it all the way up. So some of the configuration pieces like personalization and setting up the replica indices and all of that, that will still require you to go into Algolia and configure it there from their own dashboard. So I'm looking at ways to be able to implement, being able to, maybe once you select fields, being able to drag and drop them to how you want them set up as the searchable attributes and define their priority and things like that. But mostly the point for the add-on, as it stands right now, before we get into like the long game of it, is to be able to, just simplify getting the data into a ready state to push into the index. So, yes.
The way that the search results are ranked, is there a lot of variation in the amount of ranking that you can do? I know with like web search and a few others I've tried, there's only like a 10 number variation between the weights.
So, let me zoom. Nope. There we go. I should know how to use a computer by now. So with ranking and sorting, you got the two types of metric, the ranking attributes and then the sort by attributes. Ranking is for like textually relevant. I'm probably skirting the issue of what you're actually discussing, but I'll try and get right back to it. So the custom ranking is like I was talking about with the user experience, where you're delivering contextually relevant information, whereas the sort by is more for like the business relevant, where you're talking about what you want to go ahead and promote. Now, what you're talking about, like specific ranking weights, saying, hey, I really want to drive this one way above everything else. They don't really have a way of saying this is worth 20 times more than this attribute. But what you could very easily do is you can disable attributes for being searchable at all, but still deliver that on the search result in a replicated index. But yeah, it doesn't have that like, yeah, this is worth 20 points, this is worth 5 points, etc. So.
Is Algolia, is the ranking or weighting more multiplier based? Is the Elastic you can do like times 0.03 times 0.04?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. Yes?
Do you have any experience dealing with multiple languages?
No, I haven't.
Different indexes.
Basically. John set something up, right, for Pearson? Because I think they had French and English, and yeah, we just went ahead and built out multiple indices.
Yeah, I mean, at some point we're talking about the capabilities of Algolia versus the capabilities of the plugin, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Algolia is about the closest you can get to like a Google search appliance without the overhead of owning one.
Yeah.
Paying for one.
Cool. Thank you very much.